Live, India's Voice to the World. I'm Nipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails Union budget as historic, says it lays out a clear roadmap towards Viksit Bharat by 2047 and gives fresh momentum to India's reform push. Finance Minister focuses on three duties of sustainable economic growth, capacity building and Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Defence allocation hiked by 15%. US President Trump hopes for negotiations with Iran after Tehran warns of regional conflict if US attacks. Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt to partially reopen for limited passage of pedestrians from both sides. And in sports, India booked their place in the semi-finals of the ICC Under-19 World Cup with a 58-run win over Pakistan in the Super 6. And on to the details now. The Union Budget 2026-27 presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman lays strong emphasis on education, skills development and employment-oriented reforms, signalling a transformative approach towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Congratulating Sitharaman, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the budget, saying it embodies the vision of trust-based governance. Terming it as a distinctive budget that prioritizes reducing the fiscal deficit and containing inflation, Prime Minister said it balances high capital expenditure with robust economic growth.
ये बजट ट्रस्ट बेस्ड गवर्नेंस और ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक अर्थरचना के विजन को साकार करता है। एक ऐसा यूनिक बजट है जिसमें फिस्कल डेफिसिट कम करने, इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करने पर फोकस है और इसके साथ ही बजट में हाई कैपेक्स और हाई ग्रोथ का भी समन्वय है।
Well, Prime Minister Modi also called it a youth power budget, saying that it embodies the thinking, dreams, resolve and dynamism of the youth.
यह युवा शक्ति बजट है। उसमें युवा की सोच भी है, युवा के सपने भी हैं, युवा का संकल्प भी है और साथ-साथ युवा की गति भी है। बजट में जो प्रावधान किए गए हैं उससे अलग-अलग सेक्टर्स में लीडर्स, इनोवेटर्स और क्रिएटर्स तैयार होंगे। मेडिकल हब्स के निर्माण से, एलाइड हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल्स के माध्यम से, ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी यानी ऑडियो विजुअल गेमिंग को बढ़ावा देकर, पर्यटन को प्रोत्साहन देकर और खेलो इंडिया मिशन के माध्यम से युवाओं के लिए नए अवसरों के द्वार खुलेंगे।
On her part, Nirmala Sitharaman said the budget 2026-27 is the first one in the second quarter of the century, leading towards the vision of India becoming a developed nation by 2047. Addressing the post-budget press conference in Delhi, Finance Minister said that the budget places medical and health education at the centre of India's next phase of healthcare expansion. Further, the Finance Minister said the budget pushes the Indian economy to maintain its growth momentum with an emphasis on continuing structural reforms.
We are laying the path and giving a push to the economy to maintain the growth momentum. And for that growth momentum or sustained economic growth, which we want to ensure, primarily we are looking at building the ecosystem with structural reforms which will go on. Reforms have been carried out. We are continuing to do the reform activities, so it will continue with an aim to make sure that we create enough environment for improving productivity and making sure employment is generated.
And now let's take a look at some of the key highlights of the budget.
India's sustained growth is the result of conscious choices and policies made by the government. In keeping with this and acknowledging that India needs to remain deeply integrated with global markets, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented Budget 2026 for the financial year 2026-27. It is a Yuva Shakti driven budget with a focus on three kartavyas. First kartavya, accelerate and sustain economic growth. Second kartavya, fulfill aspirations of our people. Third kartavya, vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Under Kartavya 1, to promote 7 strategic frontiers for manufacturing, allocation of 10,000 crore rupees has been made for Biopharma Shakti. India's Semiconductor Mission 2.0 has been announced to produce equipment and materials, design full stack Indian IP, and fortify supply chains. The Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme of April 2025 has an increased outlay of 40,000 crore rupees to capitalize on momentum. Mineral-rich states of Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu to become dedicated rare earth corridors. High-tech tool rooms in PSEs for manufacture of precision components. Rupees 10,000 crore for container manufacturing. Mega textile parks announced. Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative to strengthen khadi, handloom and handicrafts. Dedicated initiative for sports goods for manufacturing, research and innovation. Rupees 10,000 crore for SMEs Growth Fund, corporate mitras for professional services in Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns, increased capex to 12.2 lakh crore rupees to continue the momentum, new dedicated freight corridors from Dankuni to Surat, 20 new national waterways over next 5 years, coastal cargo promotion scheme for a modal shift from rail and road. 20,000 crore rupees for carbon capture, utilization and storage over the next 5 years. High-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors. High-level committee on banking for Viksit Bharat. Restructure Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. Persons resident outside India, PROI, permitted to invest in through portfolio investment scheme up to 24%. Under Kartavya 2, aspirations, high-powered education to employment and enterprise standing committee aim to be global leader in services with a 10% global share by 2047. Impact of emerging technologies including AI on jobs and skills suggest measures. Add 100,000 allied health professionals over the next 5 years. Scheme to support states in establishing 5 regional medical hubs. Set up 3 new All India Institutes of Ayurveda. Upgrade Ayush pharmacies and drug testing labs. Upgrade WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center in Jamnagar. National Institute of Hospitality upgraded from existing National Council for Hotel Management. Third Kartavya aligns with our vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Support high-value crops such as coconut, sandalwood, cocoa, and cashew in coastal areas. Support cultivation of walnuts, almonds, and pine nuts. Set up of Nimhans 2 and also upgrade national mental health institutes in Ranchi and Tezpur. Scheme for development of Buddhist circuits in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. Accepted recommendation of 16th Commission to retain vertical share of devolution at 41%. Fiscal deficit in BE 2026-27 is estimated to be 4.3% of GDP. Debt to GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% of GDP in BE 2026-27. Tax proposals. Interest on awards by Motor Accident Claims Tribunal exempt from income tax. one-time 6-month foreign asset disclosure scheme for small taxpayers who have lived abroad, 3 years exemption to dividend income received by a national cooperative federation, tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company providing cloud services to customers globally using data center services from India, a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case of providing data center services from India. MAT is proposed to be made final tax, being reduced to 14%. Exemption on imports of goods for nuclear power projects till the year 2035. Exemption to the import of capital goods required for processing of critical minerals. In total, non-debt receipts 36.5 lakh crore rupees. Net tax receipts 28.7 lakh crore rupees. Expenditure 53.5 lakh crore rupees. Net market borrowing 11.7 lakh crore rupees. Gross market borrowing 17.2 lakh crore rupees. Bureau Report, DD India.
And in the Union budget, post-Operation Sindoor, defence services of the country have received an unprecedented allocation of 7.85 lakh crore rupees for the financial year 2026-27. Now, this is a major boost to country's armed forces. The allocation, equivalent to 2% of the estimated GDP, marks a 15.19% jump over last year's budget estimates and makes defence the single largest spending ministry, accounting for 14.67% of total central government expenditure. Beyond routine modernization and operational needs, the enhanced outlay also factors in emergency procurement of arms and ammunition undertaken after Operation Sindoor across both capital and revenue heads. Also, a major thrust is visible in capital spending, which has been raised to 2.1 lakh crore rupees, up by sharp 1.80 lakh crore rupees last year, underscoring the government's push to upgrade military capabilities and preparedness. Also, the budget reiterates a strategic commitment to building a future-ready, self-reliant military with a clear emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat and transforming India's armed forces to global benchmarks. And in a major push for tech-driven agriculture, Minister Sita Raman announced the launch of Bharat Vistar in the budget. The budget emphasized high-value agriculture, allied sectors and technology-led farming. DD India's Tanvi Taneja reports for more.
In the words of M.S. Swaminathan, the father of India's Green Revolution, if agriculture goes wrong, nothing else will have a chance to go right. The Union Budget 2026-27 emphasized high-value agriculture, allied sectors and technology-led farming. High-value agriculture will get a boost for promoting high-value crops like that of coconut, sandalwood, cocoa and cashew in the coastal areas, agar trees in the northeast and nuts like walnuts and almonds in the hilly regions. The Finance Minister announced coconut promotion scheme to boost productivity. Special support would be given for sandalwood cultivation via partnerships with state governments to promote scientific farming and post-harvest processing. The Finance Minister also announced credit-linked subsidy programs for supporting animal husbandry so as to promote entrepreneurship, modernize livestock enterprises and scale up integrated value chains in the dairy, poultry and livestock sectors. To strengthen the fisheries value chain, the government will launch initiatives for integrated development of 500 reservoirs and other water bodies. These aim to strengthen the fisheries value chain in coastal areas.
There's been a lot of focus on agriculture, high value-added agriculture. You heard about focus on coconuts. The potential on coconut is a very, very large opportunity that India is presented with. High-value crops like cocoa. I think these are all areas which will move us from a low-value agriculture to a high-value agriculture. Value addition is another big area they've looked at. I'm also very impressed with the focus on the fish farmer producer. The impetus they are giving on cultivation of fish through women-led farmer producer organization is very important.
Sitharaman also announced the launch of Self-Help Entrepreneurs or She-Marts, a new initiative for rural women-led enterprises run by self-help entrepreneurs and owned by the community. In a major push for tech-driven agriculture, Finance Minister Sitharaman announced the launch of Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI tool set to integrate AgriStack portals and ICAR's agricultural practices with advanced AI systems, transforming how farmers access resources and make better decisions. All these initiatives target the 46% Indian workforce reliant on agriculture, marking a significant leap in precision farming, especially of indigenous dry fruits.
I think the government has announced some very good measures to boost the domestic production, processing and marketing of indigenous dry fruits. There have been specific instances and mentions of the walnut supply chain, the almond supply chain and the cashew supply chain. I think these steps will go a long way. Number one, in ensuring that the Indian indigenous farmers benefit a lot versus importing so much of dry fruit. Number two, we will save a lot of foreign exchequer by avoiding import of so much of dry fruits. We already know we import more than $4 billion worth of dry fruit.
The overall aim is to strengthen rural ecosystems, enhance farm productivity, and encourage rural women-led enterprises to align with the larger goal of making India developed by 2047. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
Meanwhile, it was a dream come true for 30 young minds to witness the presentation of the budget by the Finance Minister in the lower house of the Parliament. These 30 youths from all over the country also had a detailed discussion with the Finance Minister later in the day. The interaction was aimed at enhancing students' understanding of finance, governance and the democratic process. Vishal Baristow caught up with some of them to find out more.
It has been a unique experience for these youth because they attended the parliament, they saw how the budget is presented, and they also had a long interaction with the finance minister of the country. Let's talk to them and find out.
Very happy to attend the budget session at the parliament today, and it was very inspiring also because finance minister actually presented her budget for the country for the 9th consecutive time. So it was inspiring in itself.
And how about you, the participation in the parliament or the interaction with the finance minister?
I think I would have to give it a little bit more weightage to the interaction with the finance minister. As much as the parliament is an icon and being there was an honor, I think talking to ma'am personally was a different experience. I think I can collectively say that we're all starstruck by the experience, and she spoke to us so personally, like almost like a mentor, and I think that experience will definitely trump being, as much as going to parliament is right up there, I think this is slightly better.
I agree with him. When I entered the parliament and the Lok Sabha gallery, I thought nothing could top this, and just a couple of hours later, the interaction with the finance minister was so awe-inspiring. Ma'am just left and we're all just starstruck, and I can't stop smiling. We got a chance to interact with her and talk to her about things beyond the budget. We got such valuable insights from her about the budget as well, but also about the youth. The budget was focused on the youth, and her interaction with us was so focused on what we can do. And she answered all of the questions that we had so gracefully and giving.
Did you ask anything?
Yeah, I asked a question. I asked her that what do us students underestimate about aspects of leadership that are involved in policy-making roles like hers?
I asked her one question about the today's budget, that about the orange economy. It's a completely new concept that our finance minister today introduced. I asked whether it should be a mainstream kind of thing or whether we are looking to a ecosystem kind of thing, and the answer of it's like spontaneous.
As a woman and the longest serving finance minister, especially as a woman, I asked her what is her opinion about the low women participation in the labor force, especially in the industry and service sector. And her response was not just related to the policy making, but it was also about the society, the mindset of the people, the corporate in all. So we understand that she does not look at just one perspective. At her level, she is supposed to, and she is very much rightfully so, is the right person to look at all different perspectives and give the answer perfectly.
So There you hear from these young minds, they are the future of the country. They had an interactive session with the finance minister, and they are so very happy about it. With cameraman Saurabh Shukla in Delhi, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Well, this year's budget prioritizes education and skills for India's future growth, evident from the increase of 8.27% in the allocation over the previous year. Series of measures for education and skilling include IIT Creator Labs, a new design institute in Eastern India, girls' hostels in every district, and expanded healthcare training. Well, leaders from the sector have hailed it for its strong emphasis on research, education and technology-driven growth. Listen in.
The budget is extremely encouraging. I think there's a lot of continuity and momentum. The announcement to set up content creator digital labs in secondary schools that's aimed at strengthening the creative, digital and technology-linked skills of young people. I think that's so important. What we do in the school ecosystem impacts our country and industry so much. And also, of course, the continued policy push towards applied learning, skilling, industry-linked education beyond the traditional academic routes is also very encouraging.
A big boost of this budget is on development of skills which are very critical for the future of this particular nation. The AVGC labs, the animation and gaming industry, gets a big boost with over 15,000 schools and 500 colleges where these labs will be set up, and this will give a big boost to future careers that children can learn to create content. Apart from that, the NID and design education in India will get a big boost with several centers coming up. Hospitality institutes also getting a big focus, which are all employable sectors.
Well, moving on now, World Wetlands Day is being celebrated today to recognize and raise awareness about some of the planet's most vital ecosystems, our freshwater and coastal wetlands. India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav will attend the celebrations at the Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary as the chief guest. The theme is Wetlands and Traditional Knowledge, celebrating cultural heritage. The minister will felicitate states for the declaration of new Ramsar sites and undertake a plantation drive under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. And on the World Wetlands Day, India strengthens conservation efforts with 2 new Ramsar sites, taking the country's total to 98 wetlands of international importance. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has this report.
On World Wetlands Day, India reaffirms its commitment to protecting nature's lifelines. Wetlands play a crucial role in conserving biodiversity, supporting livelihoods, and combating climate change. Adding momentum to these efforts, India has designated 2 new Ramsar sites, Patna Bird Sanctuary in Itaha, Uttar Pradesh, a haven for migratory birds, and Chhatri Dhan in Kutch, Gujarat, a vital wetland supporting rich avian and marine life. With these additions, India's Ramsar network now stands at 98 wetlands of international importance, marking a remarkable growth of over 276% since 2014. As the world celebrates World Wetlands Day, India's expanding Ramsar's footprint highlights the strong push towards conservation, sustainability, and ecological balance. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
And in international updates, U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday said he hopefully expects the United States to reach a deal with Iran after the country's supreme leader warned that any American attack would trigger a wider regional conflict. Trump on Sunday downplayed comments from Iran's supreme leader warning of a potential regional conflict, stating, "We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close." The remarks came as top U.S. and Israeli military officials held a closed-door meeting at the Pentagon on Friday amid growing tensions with Tehran.
We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
Meanwhile, Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has warned the United States that any attack on his country would result in a regional war. Khamenei said the U.S. wants to devour Iran and its vast oil and natural gas resources, adding that what happened during the recent anti-government protest was similar to a coup, since a large number of government offices, banks and mosques were stormed. And more updates from West Asia now. Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt will be reopened on Monday for limited passage of Palestinians from both the directions. Now, pedestrians are set to begin passing through the Rafah border crossing on Monday after it was largely shut for almost 2 years. Before the conflict, Rafah border crossing with Egypt was the only direct exit point for most Gazans to reach the outside world, as well as a key entry point for aid into the territory. Also, the reopening is a key part of the second phase of U.S. President Trump's truce plan for the Palestinian territory. And now to some sports news. Our spinners Ayush Matre and Khilan Patel start with the ball as India defeated Pakistan by 58 runs in the Under-19 World Cup match in Bulawayo to book a semi-final berth. Well, both the bowlers took 3 wickets apiece to bowl Pakistan out for 194 runs and secure a commanding 58 runs win. Pakistan struggled throughout their innings, failing to maintain the required pace for a semi-final spot and eventually collapsed under pressure. Earlier, Vedant Trivedi anchored India's innings with a determined 68 runs as they reached 252 runs on a challenging pitch. India will face Afghanistan in the second semi-final in Harare on Wednesday. And brightly dressed Pepinos, the playful symbols of La Paz's carnival, filled the Bolivian capital street with color and music on Sunday. Wearing glittered masks and ruffled suits, they danced to upbeat brass bands, reviving a much-loved tradition. Let's have a look. All right, that's all in this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Nipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.